Palantir investors, we have got a lot to speak about. Palantir stock has been on a crazy surge. It's been up by like 16% in just 5 days or something. It's been absolutely mad. So let's discuss why that's been happening. Firstly, we've had quite a number of contracts come out in just the past few days. We had yesterday on the 10th of October, we had the initial official announcement from Palantir itself about that $250 million contract from the Department of Defense to scale the artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities. Now, I did speak about this contract in an earlier video because the Department of Defense actually put this on their website on the 26th of September, I think it was, but it's only yesterday that Palantir themselves have announced it. And I do think it's the same one, and in the official release by Palantir, they also noted that it was announced earlier by the Department of Defense. So it seems to be exactly the same as we already knew about, and I did talk about this in an earlier video. But it's still really, really great. It's a contract until 2026. So it's not very long, and it's for $250 million. That's a lot of revenue. It works out to be about $83 million per year. So that's absolutely fantastic. But even more so, it just keeps building on the momentum. The more contracts we get, the more excited investors get, the more they pile in their money, and the more the stock price goes up. And also, the more contracts that come out, the more and more confident us retail investors get, but also non-retail investors and businesses as a whole. They get more confident about Palantir. If you start seeing massive names working with Palantir, you start thinking, okay, this is legit. They may be able to help my business or my organization as well. Do you know what? I'm going to start taking them seriously, and I'm going to start looking into them, how they may be able to help me. And yesterday we also had another new contract. Yesterday was really quite eventful. This one wasn't $250 million over 3 years or anything like that. It was much smaller. It was only 1 year. It's only a 1-year contract. And it's for $5.7 million or thereabout. And it's from the Office of Medical Services. So Palantir are really, if you didn't already know, they're really proving quite useful in this old healthcare sector. And then yesterday, again, to just put the cherry on the top of that momentum, I saw yet another contract. This time, this was announced by Palantir Chad. It looks like he may have got his information from elsewhere. But anyway, £1.5 million for a 6-month contract. As soon as I saw this, I recognised this font and this layout straight away. And being a British contract, a UK-based contract, I really wanted to dive into this one a little bit more and just try and see where it was coming from, what was it about, because I thought that I might be able to understand it quite well, just, being familiar with the UK. So let's look at the original, where this originally comes from. So the government website here in the UK. So what we can see is it's a trade analytics solution, and it's an awarded contract, meaning the contract has been awarded, it's finalised. So it's for an analytical or scientific software package, and it's £1.5 million. Now, this isn't the biggest contract, £1.5 million. We've just spoken about a 250, we've spoken about a massive one. This one is a lot smaller. However, I think this is really important because of what it means. And when I started digging into this, I think that it's a real signal. So I'm going to show you exactly what I found. So let's keep going. Published date. So it closed on the 13th of September. So it got finalized and closed a while ago, but it was only published yesterday. And then you keep going down, you can see that it's contract type service contract. Okay, fine. A little bit further, and you can see who was this contract awarded to. Well, it was awarded to Palantir Technologies. Okay. And then we look about the buyer. So the buyer, let me go back to Eich because I explained it all on here. So the new Palantir contract is an important signal. Buyer Neil Widop, maybe I'm saying that wrong, seems to be from, and he definitely is, this is not a seems to be anymore, from the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA. So we can see his email, DEFRA. That is what that acronym stands for here in the UK. And this is a department of His Majesty's government in the United Kingdom. There are many different departments that fall under His Majesty's government. The Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs is one of them. You have the Department for Transport. There's all these different departments. I don't know how many there are. Maybe, I don't know, but there's quite a few. But interestingly, so just remember that this contract is with the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. And that is one of the departments under the government. Let's just simplify it. Departments under the government. Now think And remember, cast your mind back to that NHS contract. You know, that big one that we are expecting Palantir to get awarded. The one that everyone is really, really hoping for. It's been going on for a long time, that one as well. Watch some of my other videos if you have no idea what I mean. So please note that the NHS, the National Health Service here in England, is overseen by the Department of Health and Social Care. That is also a department under His Majesty's government in the UK here. So we've got the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, and then we've got the Department for Health and Social Care, both feeding into the same organisation, if you will. So I've put then, this may be a small contract in revenue, but it's important that both the DEFRA and the NHS feed, some way into the ministerial departments. Ministerial? Minister is too early. So I'm now saying, why would one UK government department work with Palantir on a contract, but not another? I mean, it's possible, right? It's definitely possible. But to me, this is a really important signal, because this signals to us that the government in the UK, which is ultimately, I guess, making a lot of these decisions, is willing to work with Palantir. Now, I know the NHS data is more public data, and that feeds into the public more and they get concerned. And maybe, this contract is not really anything to do with the public, so we don't really care. Most of the general public in the UK will have no idea ever about this contract. But I still think it's interesting that they're willing to work with Palantir in this way. That's a bullish signal to me. It may not mean anything at all, but interesting, and I wanted to share. Do you also remember how just a while ago we saw that Palantir were hiring for a mixed reality designer? And then we also saw in the back of one of Alex Karp's interviews at the S4G summit, he had like this headset with the words ICU, with the letters ICU, sitting in his background. And we were all kind of like, that's really weird. That's been placed there and they're hiring. What's going on? Also, do you like my pumpkin in the background of my video? Not quite as cool as a headset, I know, but I'm trying. And anyway, all of that makes sense now, because Palantir have just released 2 mixed reality products. The first product is Palantir's mixed reality service, and the second is their immersive command and control. So that immersive command and control is where the IC2 that was sitting on the headset in his background, that's where that comes from. Interestingly, both of these products are deployable on different mixed reality platforms. So for example, Apple's Vision Pro headset. You can use these products, these pieces of software on that headset and other ones as well. From what I understand, these products are going to be used as a defense application very much by the government side of Palantir. Now, I do think it will trickle down into the commercial side, but that's not happening just yet. And they're going to be used for visualizing different decisions on the battlefield, allowing you to run different scenarios through again from the battlefield to pick which is the best option, and for providing soldiers with the most up-to-date, accurate data. And it's going to be using Edge AI, which is what Palantir pretty much uses anyway, but it's different from traditional AI applications in the sense that the traditional option basically runs and gets developed on the cloud, whereas Edge AI models are deployed on devices at the edge of the network. So they're located closer to where the data is actually being generated. And this means that the edge devices are able to make decisions a lot faster, and they don't have to rely on the cloud. So if that gets cut off, you can still see your data. Have any of you watched Heart of Stone on Netflix? It's a movie, it's really good, I recommend it. But it kind of, all this stuff now with this mixed reality products by Palantir kind of reminds me of that. Now, like I said, I do expect that eventually Palantir's mixed reality products will be used on the commercial side. Not exactly sure how yet. I think that it will be most useful for any operations involving the terrain and where you're going to need to visualize stuff. But for now anyway, it's definitely concentrated to the government side. One of the big catalysts causing Palantir stock to run up at the moment is the heartbreaking and horrific events that are happening in Israel. Now, this is a geopolitical event, and these do affect the stock market too. Alongside Palantir stock going up, we're also seeing other defense related companies, their stock prices going up as well. And it's not surprising because we know Palantir have government and military contracts. It's a big part of what they do. So it makes sense that Palantir's stock has gone up because the demand for them will be on the rise and other governments will want to work with them in the future. We don't know at this point in time if Palantir's software has been being used in Israel. Now, they do have a presence there, but I'm hoping that it wasn't being used because obviously if it was being used, it didn't really do its job very well and that wouldn't look very good. So I think that it's more likely that it wasn't being used in this instance in the first place. As sad as this situation is, and it truly is heartbreaking, the stock market doesn't care. And Palantir could be higher in demand in the future moving forward, because governments, like I said, want to access their software that can help them. And we are already kind of seeing this play out. So we saw a 16.5 million euro contract with Spain's military intelligence, and this was for Gotham. So I expect to see more of these happening in the nearest distant future as well. Now, Palantir may decide that they want to give free software to help with this situation like they did with Ukraine, but we haven't seen any confirmation of this just yet. I want to reiterate that looking and trying to predict the daily movements of the market is not something that I like to do in my own investing, but because I have a long-term mindset. I think that this company and other companies in my portfolio are going to be more valuable in the future than they are now. So I don't really care what the stock price does, on a random Tuesday afternoon, because my investment horizon is much, much longer than that. Having said that, I do think that it's really important to understand what moves the market and understand that geopolitical events, different contracts, different noise, different signals, they are all going to interest rates, all these things are going to impact what the stock price does. And what this helps you to do is it helps you to put those big moves in context, and that helps you to stay emotionless. And that's important both ways. When the stock price is falling, staying emotionless and staying convicted helps you buy more. And when it's shooting right up, again, you're not going to get overly excited and maybe want to sell or, want to buy against your investment strategy, whatever that may be. Gives you context, helps you stay emotionless. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one very shortly.